When you determine that you're going to proceed with a divorce, the first and most critical document is going to be your case information statement. That document is going to include the assets and liabilities of the marriage. It is from that foundation that we are able to determine both what assets we should be talking about and what the value of those assets are after we subtract any liabilities. There's a variety of ways to value your property. One is by coming to an agreement. If you and your spouse have a general idea of the worth and you both agree to that amount, then no further action is needed. The other actions you would take would be to hire an appraiser, hire a forensic accountant, or hire some other expert in the field in which we are speaking, such as someone who might be a marine expert for a boat or someone who's a car expert for antique vehicles. Part of the marital estate is your investment accounts, retirement accounts, mutual funds, stocks, and daily bank accounts, such as your checking or savings. When we look at valuation for the purposes of distribution, we're going to look at the value on the date of complaint. Also, we should be looking 6 to 12 months prior to see if there were any big transactions that were out of the ordinary or unexplained. This may impact the value on that date. It could prove dissipation. Similar to equitable distribution of assets in a premarital sense and how we divide bank accounts, we're going to look at the value of your retirement accounts on the date of complaint. However, the unique component of retirement accounts is that there could be a premarital component that we do have to carve out. When we're looking at those more complex accounts, we would likely hire an expert to help us prepare a valuation for the purposes of determining either the percentage or the amount. Some employers offer various incentive packages beyond a retirement account. You could have an interest through your employer or through your spouse's employer in employee stock options, restricted stock units, and other similar type stock availability. When we're looking at the division of those assets, we're going to look again at what has vested as of the date of complaint, what was earned prior to the date of complaint, though it may not yet have vested, and what the value of the current asset is and the anticipated vesting value. We will also obviously have to consider the cost of the RSU or the employee stock option. Most divorce cases have an interest in real property, whether it's the property in which you reside, or whether it's a rental property, or whether it's some combination of the two. In valuing those assets, we typically look towards the common market value, which can be determined or appraised by your real estate agent. If, however, there's no agreement on that valuation, then we can hire a real estate appraisal who will look back at the historic sales, will look at the current listings, and will come up with a value for your property. That way we can determine distribution. Similar to all distribution, you can either agree on valuation of business or you can hire a forensic accountant to facilitate that valuation. When we're looking at valuing a business in the world of divorce, we're taking certain considerations into account, and we're also eliminating some common considerations. So it's very important when you have a business or are looking towards valuing an asset of the marriage that is a business, that you speak with an attorney who works with a forensic evaluator specific to divorce. There's a common misconception that Because you reside in a home with your spouse, you are automatically entitled to 50% of that home. That is simply not true. Residing in the home alone does not give you an interest in the property. We have to take into account all the statutory factors, including premarital components, ownership, maintenance, and contribution. When you are considering divorce and what you might anticipate to have at the conclusion of your divorce as far as assets, that is something you're definitely going to want to speak to your attorney about to make sure that this house is available for distribution.